Since we're on the topic of Tucker, right? Let's go
Jupiter is a pretty little town on the east coast of Florida. It's about 90 miles north of Miami. It's not.
And NATO is moving into Jupiter, Florida, and Governor DeSantis is just trying to protect his crab restaurants.
Huge place. It's a safe and orderly place. Ton of nice people live there. Not all of them, by the way, are rich, which is unusual for a coastal town. It's a normal place.
No, it isn't. All of Florida is coastal, dipshit.
It's the country you remember. You wouldn't mind living there, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my girlfriend loves beaches. I'm more of a snow guy, and I just don't like it when sand gets in certain areas, you know. But you would know that because you're smooth in the front.
But over the weekend, Jupiter, Florida looked less like the America of 1980 and more like the America that Joe Biden is busy creating right now, which is to say chaotic, crazy, out of control. Families sitting on the beach in Jupiter this Sunday watched slack-jawed as a boat carrying dozens of unemployed illegal immigrant Haitians
unemployed illegal Haitians, immigrant Haitians. Okay, first of all, I don't know how the people on the beach knew that they were unemployed. It looked like they were on their way to a job. They may have been even late for a job at this point. Unemployed, illegal immigrant. Thanks, Bean Toes. I'm glad I'm here too.
Pulled up on shore. The people inside the boat hopped out, ran through the waves, and scattered. Not what you expect on a Sunday on the beach, but not everybody in Jupiter was surprised to see this happen. Another boat full of Haitians had landed there just this summer, so it's becoming a regular occurrence in
yes, regularly. It's happened twice in a year, and it's regular. That's regular.
Florida.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, this Sunday, federal authorities caught a number of the migrants, according to
what was it, the same number that got off the boat?
Customs and Border Protection. David. The Haitians will be processed for removal proceedings. Feel better? You shouldn't.
No, because they're going to be sent to Ukraine to annoy Vladimir Putin.
Doesn't mean they're being sent home.
Yeah, it does.
In fact, most of them will not be sent home. Most
of them will be sent home.
Stay here forever.
No, they won't. Forever.
They didn't come here legally. They came here illegally.
Illegal immigrants allowed to stay in the U.S. after deportation proceedings. Fiscal year, Syracuse University, 21-22. I'm glad they have, next year has already happened. So here's where the number was. Here's where the number went. Here's where the number is compensating for. So these would be the same people. So basically, we're talking about a number like this.
Take a look at this chart. It shows data compiled by Syracuse University. These are the results of immigration hearings so far under Joe Biden. You'll notice.
Oh, Joe Biden's been president since 2000? I thought that was Al Gore. 1 second, hold on. Syracuse University. I mean, I like to, look at it. Let's see. Illegal immigrants. Is that how they allowed to stay in U.S.? Okay. Diversity and inclusion. That's Syracuse. Students once tolerated, now targeted, undocumented. SU supports undocumented international student pros. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for the super chat. Bless you. Creates roadblocks for moving to the United States. Syracuse officials remain hesitant, declaring Syracuse. Many migrants are quickly, others can stay. I mean, I don't see a site for this. I don't know why that would be. This is related to the Title 42 thing. Let's see. Migrant children are allowed in the U.S. during his okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. Oh, here it is. Transactional records access. Is this it? Okay, so this is the only thing that's coming up for me is the ATD numbers, alternatives to detention numbers, track immigration, number of ATD in the program. Let's see, individuals. There's a family unit that's been in the program for 748 days. The whole thing up here, it's a number under That's they've been in the average in the program here, and the number of days under that alternatives to detention program, meaning they've had an ankle monitor or a promise to return. ICE area responsible national ADD technology, all of it. These are all individual cases, I guess. There's a smart link, GPS smart link. There's the people with ankle monitors. 21 Phoenix, these are the people that are coming in. Yeah, no way to check what the shit this is. And I'm gonna guess this is 0 to 100% of the people crossing the border. Illegal immigrants are allowed to stay in the U.S. after deportation proceedings, which could be anything. All right, we'll figure it out.
That more than 70% of illegal aliens have been allowed to stay in your country after their so-called deportation proceedings. There's no deportation involved.
Well, no, most people are turned away. The ones that are kept are, because we're kicking people out in an enormous number, and they come back again and again and again. Those people keep getting kicked out over and over again. But in the people who actually go through their proceedings, who apply for asylum and have their asylum hearings actually adjudicated, this is, by the way, a percentage number versus years when there was not COVID, for example, or years when there were fewer asylum requests, or a percentage of the people going through, like in this year, because this is percentages, and all we're seeing is percentages. This 40% or 35% in 2007 could have been 5 times as many people as this. You'll actually get a higher percentage number if you're allowing fewer people through the entire process. If you're dumping more people immediately back into Mexico and you're only allowing people to be processed who already have the documentation to go through, you're only dealing with this number. So the volume, unless you put a fucking number over here that gives me a head count, this is all bullshit. And this number, the smallest one on here, could be more people than these two lines combined. More than likely, they are.
Immigration officers hate this. They're not allowed
do they?
to do their jobs, but
well, no, this wouldn't be part of their jobs. The immigration officers this is well behind them. The people they deal with are deported immediately or are processed, but they don't ever see them again. This isn't their job again. And if these people overstay or don't show up for court or any of those kind of things, then they go get them and dump them out, which is the part that they like.
they're not in control. Joe Biden is in control, and Joe Biden is trying to change this country as fast as he possibly can.
Well, then why is he sending them back to Mexico and not processing anyway? Why is he returning more people to Mexico than Trump did and going back up to Biden numbers? I mean, to Obama numbers. I mean, obviously, immigrants allowed in the country overall, which includes European and Asian and North American, Canadians who want to come here, whatever that, number is. Like, that number is going back up to what it was under George H.W. Bush.
You may not know this. Most Americans have no idea it's happening, but
well, that's because the 70% you're talking about is a smaller physical head count than the 12 or 15 or 30% in your other graph that was thousands of people, tens of thousands of people before.
The world is watching closely. So if you live in an impoverished country and you'd like a better job and free schools and free health care courtesy of American taxpayers, come on in.
No, again, how many times have I said this? The only people saying the borders are open and come on into the country and are putting this kind of shit up is Fox News. Our Democrats are saying this. No, there is not a single Democrat. They're like, Kamala and Biden won't even go to the border. Well, they sure as shit aren't going down there going, come on in, people, after you. Let me hold the door for you.
They are.
Thanks, Jeff.
The sheriff's office.
The best way I can describe the border right now is chaos. Absolute chaos.
Did you hear the woman laugh in the background?
The best way I can describe the border right now is chaos. Absolute chaos.
The Arizona National Guard.
This has been the largest surge of immigrants that I have seen in my career.
Since October of this year, Customs and Border Protection reported close to 22,000 encounters in.
What's the recidivism rate? 45%? same fuckers, and they're all getting sent back. Yes, they're trying to come across, but they're being put out, and then they walk right back across.
Yuma sector, that's a 2,600% increase from this time last year.
Oh, from this time last year when no one was coming.
Dennis Cook's backyard overlooks the unfinished border wall. He sees the crossings every day and knows just how overwhelmed Border Patrol is.
There's times when I've called Border Patrol, and Border Patrols, we can't do anything. We're totally booked up. We can't do nothing with them.
Yes, we got a 3:30. I got a 4:25. I could probably send some agents down and about 5:15. But you know, it's kind of like a cable install. I got to give you a 3-hour window.
Since I've been on camera here, I bet you we've had 20 people cross already.
This is totally crazy. And
yeah, they get picked up.
Third world, you're not supposed to mention it. They've racialized everything.
Have they? Have they, Tucker? Or have you?
So you can't say anything.
I just said what Biden said, which is, you know, people need to go home, and if they have genuine asylum claims, then they can come here or whatever. And if they want to be economic migrants, they can work like everybody else. That's totally fine. And if people want to become citizens over time, that's great. But they have to be processed. But I'm not going to treat them like invaders.
Republicans have been intimidated into silence. They don't want to be
it's mainly because they're wusses.
called names. But the truth is, nothing like this has ever happened in the United States. And it's
Yeah, nothing. Nothing's ever happened like this. Nobody ever, let's see, hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Nothing like this has ever happened before, especially in places like Florida, where people used to show up from Cuba in boats like this forever. Like, I don't remember a year in my life when they haven't found a boat full of people trying to get to the United States, haven't rolled up on a beach, and they just, you know, they have less control, so they show up during the day when they're supposed to arrive at night. There you go. Coast Guard sees rising Cubans trying to, when was this? Sun Sentinel. When was this one? I'll probably have to have a, come on, wake up, you slow, bastard. Oh, for Pete's sake. There it is. When was this? Hold on. February 13, 21. More Cubans are floating their way to South Florida shores. This is Cubans. Notice, by the way, Cubans vote Republican. So notice how Tucker doesn't give a shit about these folks. It's the Haitians that bug him. But we've racialized everything. It's the Democrats who are racializing everything.
important for two reasons.
Okay. Number one, by the way, can you say both of them in English? My German is really bad.
First is the rule of law. Remember that?
Yes, that's why most people get rejected. And part of the rule of law is people seeking asylum actually get a fair shot at an asylum. They can adjudicate their asylum claims, and they go through, what's it called? A deportation process, wherein if they show that they have a legitimate reason for seeking asylum in the United States, then they actually get to stay, which would make that number that you showed earlier, about 70%, make a lot of fucking sense, especially when you're not giving us a head count of the actual number of people.
So there are people right now still being held in solitary confinement because they trespassed in a building that technically they own. It's called the Capitol of the United States.
Yeah, that's not how you own public places. None of us get to trespass any fucking where. And they're not there for just trespassing. They did that too, but they trespassed while stomping on police officers. They were trespassing on a cop's chest.
And they're still there.
Yeah, well, that's because they're a danger to the community and they're lunatics. And every time they've had a bond hearing, they yell some incoherent nonsense and threaten people and say that they're being held by tyrants and shit like that. And they won't admit that they were wrong to be where they were and promise not to harm anybody again, like all the other people that have been allowed to walk and wait out their the time before trial at home, even though they did the same shit, just by going, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again. I was totally fucked up that day. Like, all right, well, see you see you in 7 months. But these assholes are like, they get them on a video call and they start spitting and going, I don't have COVID. The big tyrants, blood of the tree of liberty. And then they get sent back to the hole.
Still in jail.
Yeah, that's because they're lunatics and they're dangerous to people around them. They think, like, how'd you like to walk past one of these assholes who thinks that you're one of the tyrants and scoundrels or what have you that needs to water the tree of liberty with their blood?
But millions of foreign nationals just walk in?
No. You just showed us like a couple dozen and they get sent back.
Ignoring our laws completely, and that's totally cool because equity or something?
No, that's not totally cool. It has nothing to do with equity.
How can anybody respect the laws of the United States when they are being ignored by the people in charge of enforcing them?
I don't know. That's weird because immigrants that come across the southern border are less criminally active than the locals. So I guess it's possible.
There's a massive cost to that. And here's the second point to make.
Oh, I thought that was both of them.
You cannot overstate the scale of demographic change underway right now in the...
I see. The browning of America. This is the big one. You can't overstate it, folks. I mean, granted, most of these people come from heavily Catholic Latin American countries that, under normal circumstances, would absolutely vote Republican every time. But they're brown Republicans. Who needs them? I mean, who, right? I mean, who wants to be a Republican anymore if that's what your party's going to look like? It's horrifying.
United States. It's a direct assault.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Dorothy. That's so very sweet. Merry Christmas to you, too. She says, after watching you for the last year, I realized you're likely the closest thing to 42, the answer to the ultimate answer, question of life, universe, and everything. Thank you for that. Oh, that's really sweet. Yes, I am deep thought in the flesh. I'm the second computer they built.
On our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Democracy is the process by which the population elects its representatives. If you change the population, you dilute the political power of the people who already live there.
Well, no, you incorporate the people who are living here. Those people would be living here. So they're not diluting the power of that. They more than likely, like I said, the truth is the Cubans who come across on boats and the people who come from Latin American countries, pro-life, you could totally wrangle them into voting Republican just on that issue alone most of the time if you weren't such a racist prick.
An assault on democracy. At what scale? Here's an example.
All right, here's the scale. Please give me a percentage, but no head count.
Customs and Border Protection caught more than 170,000 foreign nationals crossing into our country from Mexico last month.
Oh, they caught them. All right, they caught them. How many of them? This was their second or third time through, and they were caught again.
How many people is that? Well, that's the equivalent of the entire population of Knoxville, Tennessee.
So is that where we sent them? We sent them all to Knoxville? Do you have to speak Spanish to go to Knoxville now? Is it Knoxville now?
In a single month. That's a record. But it's happening every month.
Yeah, because it's the same fucking people.
Month after month.
We're catching the same people over and over again.
Under Joe Biden. And those are just the people we're catching.
Again and again.
So this...
Well, you're also assuming that we're not catching a tremendous amount of people. We're catching a tremendous amount. Unless that whole border wall thing was shit.
And let's not lie about it.
Which it was.
This is the Democratic Party's re-election plan. New York...
How? These people can't vote? Is he going to say New York is allowing them to vote in local elections?
Is already allowing non-citizens to vote.
Yeah. DACA recipients and people who are here on permanent resident visas or who are married to New Yorkers like Melania.
Expect that trend to spread because...
No, it won't, and it can't legally in federal elections. Even if you can vote for the state stuff, you cannot vote for the federal election. And if you try, you'll be violating the laws of citizenship, and you won't be able to become a citizen. So we wouldn't even be able to incorporate you into our federal election plans if you did.
Equity. It has nothing to do with equity or race. It's about politics. It's the whole point of this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Now, in the end, a lot of these people may turn out to have political views the Democratic Party does not expect whatsoever.
Right.
Particularly the Latino immigrants. We'll have a lot more on that in a minute.
Yes, it's all exactly what I was saying, by the way. But we're already, what are we, 4 minutes and 52 seconds into this 6-minute clip when he brings up that, like, the Democrats are trying to, this is their whole election plan. They're going to bring these folks in. And then he goes, these folks probably wouldn't vote Democratic ultimately anyways because they fled places like Venezuela and they don't like socialism and they certainly don't like abortion. So they're probably going to be Republicans. But the problem is I have to go to fundraisers and speak Spanish. It's a nightmare, and stop it.
But purely as an economic matter, this is a disaster.
Why? I mean, all bullshit aside, you know, and let's just take your premise at face value. Do you have any idea how many unfilled jobs there are in this country because of the lack of immigrants?
No wise person would do this.
And no one's doing it, so we must be very wise.
This country is getting poorer, in part because of inflation.
Are we getting poorer? Dude, can I just show you something? Overtake U.S. economy. Let's see. 2030. I think it's in here. Let's see. Yeah. So when Trump took office, and when he left office, the projection for when China's economy would overtake the United States was 2024. Okay? Just remember that detail. The U.S. will remain wealthier than China measured by GDP per capita for at least the next 50 years, says Simon Baptist, global chief economist at the Economist Intelligence Unit. His comment followed Joe Biden's first official press conference since taking office, during which the U.S. president said he will not let China become the leading country globally. The latest available data by the International Monetary Fund showed China's GDP per capita was forecasted at $10,582.10 last year, roughly 6 times smaller than the U.S. The projected time for when they were going to overtake our country was 2024. It is now, this guy's saying it's even longer, but it's a minimum of 2030 now. And look at this, and this because of COVID and because of Biden's response and the economic changes we're making in our country, largely infrastructure-based, and the fact that we're using the national security rules to build chip factories over here and make sure that we have a supply chain of technology that we need for the country and pharmaceuticals in case shit like this happens again, so we're never left holding the bag. Because of those changes, because we're doing it in the same way that our military budget, by the way, includes a lot of the stuff that's helping finance chip manufacturers and technological advancements in the United States, because it's now seen as a national security issue under the Biden administration instead of just bombs and bullets. This is his assessment. I think it's very unlikely that China will get to the U.S. levels of GDP per capita, that's our measure of wealth, for at least the next 50 years, if ever. Quite a shift from it's going to happen 2024. We're already done. China's already bigger than this. They're eating our lunch. Remember, they were going to eat our lunch.
No one wants to face that truth, but it is true.
No, it isn't. And unfortunately for this asshole, he knows it isn't true. And next year, our biggest problem will be more likely deflation than anything else. We're going to have too much money, and everything will be cheap. So we'll be chasing prices downhill. If you're in a business that sells stuff, get used to that idea.
Is this really the time to import millions of low-skilled laborers?
Well, yeah, when you have millions of low-skilled jobs that are open, maybe.
Probably not.
Probably so, actually. Strategically speaking, especially if you never intend them to be citizens, if that's the idea, or have them vote under the table or some shit and stay here and live under the radar, because that means they pay into Social Security and never take a check out.
What are all these people going to be doing for work in 10 years?
Well, obviously selling meth. I mean, what are they? They're 8-year-olds now. So yeah, by the time they're 18, they're going to be selling. No. They'll be out of meth by that point. They'll probably be running their own cartel, I would guess.
That's a real question.
No, yes, it is. Yes, it has words. It's a subject, an object, and a verb, and a question mark.
The labor shortage has accelerated the automation of low-skilled jobs. It's really simple. Ask anybody with a business. Employers can't find workers. How
Right.
responding? Well, they're buying more robots.
Yeah, they're buying more. Guys, they're just buying more robots. And there's plenty of robots. Like, robots can do everything now. I don't even know if did you even, I mean, have you been in a McDonald's lately? They got robots flipping. I mean, it's like a fucking Pixar movie in that place. The lamps are hopping around. They're just getting more robots.
Food delivery service Grubhub, for example, has rolled out autonomous delivery on college campuses across.
Yeah, autonomous delivery. That's a fucking car. There's little like robot wagons that ride around. I saw one on the street in Santa Monica the other day. So what?
The country. That's happening everywhere.
Everywhere. It's all over the place. Have you seen it? I mean, I'm not even getting a real dog ever again.
So there's going to be a lot less low-skilled work available very soon.
Okay, so those people will have to develop some skills? The people who aren't in the country because they've left? Or the assumption, by the way, that a lot of the people, especially the asylum seekers, the 70% plus that he was pointing to that have made it and actually gotten in the country, I mean, not all of them can run for Congress like Ilhan Omar, but there's some skilled folks amongst them. I got to say, to get, as a dude, as a guy, myself, to get your ass across a border to get some grunt work, that's not, that doesn't point to you having skills. Doesn't mean you don't have any, but it doesn't mean you necessarily do. But it takes some fucking skill to get a whole family from Guatemala all the way through Mexico and to the United States border and through and survive. That in and of itself is skilled labor.
How's that going to end for us?
It doesn't end, asshole. America's not going to end.
We've got millions of new arrivals with no jobs.
Do you want them to work illegally? Or
Opening the border may be the single most destructive thing that any administration has ever done to this country. Hey,
yeah, nobody opened it. Again, this is the same dipshittery we see all the time. This, like, he is the only person. When have we seen anybody on MSNBC go, the border is open? I don't know why people aren't just coming right through. When have you seen the White House do that? The administration come through and do that? When? You don't. The only people who are saying the border is open, more than Ted Cruz, is Fox News. I mean, they're basically, I don't know why they don't just have digital billboards in Honduras at this point. Yes, Tucker would not make it to America. He does not have the skills that would allow him to walk across an entire country. He can barely walk stairs.